Of November 20th, 2023 to order. And if you would please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Sandy, could we have a roll call, please?
Councilmember Shippers.
Here.
Allenboss.
Present.
Ingalls.
Here.
King. Mayor Filkins.
Here. And at this time, if we could get a motion to approve the agenda as amended to add the tree placement under the city manager's report.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda as amended to add tree placement under the city manager's report.
I'll second that.
Councilmember Allenboss.
Yes.
Ingalls.
Yes.
King.
Yes.
Shippers.
Yes.
Mayor Filkins.
Yes, motion carries. This time, we'll open the floor for our first public comment. We do ask if you come forward, if you would please state your name and then write your name and address for the clerk. That would be greatly appreciated. And if you could keep your comments to 3 minutes or less, that's also appreciated. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Keith Newell. I just wanted to introduce myself, and I apologize for being delinquent. I am the new airport manager. It's been a few months, but I'm the new manager there now, and I just want to say the airport's doing a lot of great things for the community. You'll see something at Christmas time, I think, that will involve children talking with Santa Claus and a few other things. So if anyone ever has any questions about the airport, please feel free to call me at the airport, and I thank you.
Thank you. Okay, seeing no one else, we'll go ahead and close public comment. But I would like to welcome a group of students and their advisor from Mackinac Trail Middle School, the student council members. Welcome, and thank you for taking the time to come down and see us. You bet. Okay, at this time, if someone could do a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
I'd make a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Support.
Councilmember Ingalls.
Yes.
King.
Yes.
Shippers.
Yes.
Allenboss.
Yes.
Mayor Filkins.
Yes, motion carries. This evening, we do have a communication.
Yes, it's being recommended to approve the request from Friends of the Library to place temporary signs at the market during the tree lighting ceremony on Friday, November 24th, 2023, from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m.
Would someone like to make that
I'll
motion?
make a motion to approve the request from Friends of the Library to place temporary signs at the market during the tree lighting ceremony on Friday, November 24th, from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m.
I'll second that.
Councilmember King.
Yes.
Shippers.
Yes.
Allenboss.
Yes.
Ingalls.
Yes.
Mayor Filkins.
Yes, motion carries. And we do have an appointment to do tonight, Sandy?
Yes, according to the charter, the council at its first meeting after the regular city election shall elect one of its members to serve as mayor pro tem for a term to coincide with the mayor's 2-year term of office. And you all have ballots at your desk to please write the name of the, should be on your, there's a little index card. Yes, please.
I'll use hers. Okay. Thank you.
Sandy's going to
Down.
collect it.
You come get them?
That's easy enough.
Oh, yeah.
You want to pass them?
We can pass them.
Yeah, they're peeking.
Do you need a pen?
Mike, no peeking.
What's it? Did you vote? Oh, you know.
We have 4 votes for Councilmember Shippers and 1 vote for Councilmember Allenboss. So, Councilmember Shippers.
Oh, that's a surprise. Okay.
For who?
Me?
Oh, wow.
Wow, you're surprised too.
I'm surprised.
Okay, thank you, Sandy. All right, that takes us to the city manager's report for this evening.
Thank you, Mayor and members of the City Council. There are a few items on the report this evening. The first item is a request regarding the replacement of our primary sledge pump. The current budget for the Water and Sewer Fund does include an appropriation of $40,000 to replace a sludge pump at our wastewater treatment plant. We received 4 bids. The recommendation this evening is actually to go with the second lowest bidder, which is Hamlet Environmental. The bids ranged from $18,900 up to $45,000. Hamlet Environmental is coming in at $25,000. And the reason why the city is requesting that we use Hamlet Environmental is based upon the actual system that they bid versus the systems that the other companies bid. And I'm going to probably butcher, Jeff, the name of it, but they bid is it called a Vogelsang?
Correct.
Okay, so a Vogelsang pump, which is a pump that we have familiarity with and have used in the past, and is a pump that the operational folks would prefer to be able to use out on that site, and justifies going with the second lowest bidder versus the lowest bidder. Jeff, I'm not sure if you want to add any more context to that request.
I would just say the low blind pump, though we're just not familiar with it, and we couldn't get a lot of history on it. The Vogelsang we have history with and knowledge of. So low blind could be an acceptable pump, but we don't have any knowledge or any history with it that we can find readily. So.
Well, I'm certainly not familiar with sludge pumps, but but a question, and I think that's a reasonable request, but the question that I had when I was reading through it is, if it's a pump that is, $18,900, if we were to familiarize our staff with that pump, what would the cost of education be to do that?
I don't think it's the education, it's more the replacement of parts and the parts
Okay.
getting in and how long it'll last and what the wear
Okay.
and tear on it is. We, with the Vogelsang, we know that the wear will, it is pumping sludge, which is a gritty material. We know that the wear will not wear it away too quick. We're not sure on the low blind what
Okay.
the
All right,
wear
fair
and tear
enough.
on that, how it
Okay.
would handle it, so.
How many years did we get out of this one we're replacing, Jeff?
65 to now, so.
Okay.
That's pretty
Wow.
good.
Yeah.
Hard to argue,
So
hard to
60
argue with
years?
that. How many is there out there doing this? One sludge pump, or is
We
there more?
had 3 before, now we're down to 2. One became obsolete and we didn't need any more.
Okay.
We did put in a different pump at a different area for something, but we have 2 pumps, sludge pumps now, and we're actually only replacing one. So to the mayor's inquiry, if we do find out a lot about the low blind and it does line up, our second one we could definitely replace, because sometime in the future we'll be replacing the second one also, but
Hard to argue with that amount of years out of it.
Sure.
yeah. I don't think
You,
we'll
you
get
couldn't have gotten the full 60, huh?
no, I don't think we'll get that many out of this pump. They just don't make it like they used to. So
Is there warranty with those, Jeff?
the 65-year-old pump.
Well, no, with the, yeah, exactly. I figured it just ran out right before it broke. For the 2 pumps, do they?
Yes, I do believe and I could be getting this backwards, but I do believe the Vogelsang had a 2-year warranty and the low blind had a 1-year warranty. So
Okay, is someone comfortable making a motion?
I'd make a motion to award the primary sludge pump replacement project to Hamlet Environmental in the amount of $25,000.
Support.
Councilmember Shippers.
Yes.
Ellenboss?
Yes.
Ingalls?
Yes.
King?
Yes.
Mayor Folkins?
Yes, motion carries.
Thank you, Mayor and members of the City Council. This next item, while it's not as exciting as sludge pumps, is on the technology end. It has to do with our geographic information system and essentially how, and I'm going to ask Owen to fill in a lot of the blanks here, but how we are out of essentially licensing at this point, out of software support, and need to move forward with a new, basically a new version. Is that a fair way of characterizing it?
Yeah, so back in 2016, when we got the SAW grant, that covered 100% of the cost of updating to the then current version of Esri's GIS software, and it's Esri to be. Esri basically has almost a single monopoly on the GIS market. There's some open source things that are also available, but it really is the premier GIS. It's also what we've spent really decades building our own GIS database on. And so the licensing, we basically didn't pay licensing since about 2017. So had anything gone wrong with the system or we needed some kind of software support or system support, we would have had to pay back licensing, which wouldn't have been a big deal. But at this point, it's been long enough where the upgrade is the cheaper option than actually going back and getting yourself on the older version. So there are two options as presented in the communication. I tried to include all the information for your review in the packet, but essentially we can replace user for user what we have, which is about 8 users, and then we added some mobile users because we're doing more updates on mobile devices out in the field at this point, and that would be just under $10,000 per year with no upfront cost. It just becomes an annual cost. What we can do though is add unlimited users in an enterprise version, and that cost, as you see, is $15,500 per year. That really eliminates any licensing issues that we would have to say, well, we'd like to use GIS for this, but we don't have the users available, so we're going to need to go back to Esri, get quotes on new users. We would maybe make the decision to not do things because we don't have additional licenses available. So we think it's going to be very much worth our while for an extra $5,000 per year to have this enterprise agreement. And it also comes with a list of additional services that are included in the communication. But essentially, you can some additional training, some discounted things that you can do if we choose to do so. They let us into their annual conference for free, various things like that. So it also offers us additional space to publish various information online. So we can offer that as a service then for people to go look up basically GIS data, whatever we would choose to publish and make available, they could do that online. So we've spent a lot of time talking through this on the phone with Esri, meeting with Esri. We're very comfortable with the recommendation for the enterprise version at a cost of $15,500 per year.
The only thing I'd like to add to Owen's detailed sort of explanation, which I think might be of interest not only to the school children that are here and the public, but we use this database, this geographic information database, for pretty much all of our operations, and so they have some touch with it. It's used for economic development purposes. Somebody wants to look at property, we're able to pull up maps, we're able to use those maps and manipulate them in basically real time and add imagery and information, look at the layers of information that are there to find out who owns what, where water is, where sewer is, where utilities are. Depending upon how fancy you get, you could actually, plot trees. You could put anything you want within that spatial database. And so it's not just something that the utilities department uses or the finance department uses, but it's something that across the operation is a tool that's of benefit to all of us as well as to the general public.
The Visitors Bureau uses a program for a lot of the information that they provide within the Visitors Bureau world.
Sure.
And I think a combination of what we would have access to through this program, combined with what they have and combined with what the chamber has, really will give us a lot of bandwidth to
Yeah, good.
collect data and share it.
Good.
Well, then I'll make a motion to approve the upgrade to the Esri GIS system to the small local government cloud-based enterprise agreement, annual subscription at an initial cost of $15,500 per year.
I'll second that.
Councilmember Ellenboss?
Yes.
Ingalls?
Yes.
King?
Yes.
Shippers?
Yes.
Wilkins?
Yes, motion carries.
Thank you, Mayor, members of the City Council. We are now on our new item C regarding tree placement. I'll give brief context. So since the plaza at Cadillac Commons was essentially opened for public use and access, we have had our community Christmas tree placed somewhere within that facility. May have been the first year. It was placed on the splash pad, and then we learned very quickly thereafter from our engineers that was an oopsie, and that given the weight of the tree and whatnot, that we risk causing underground damage to the infrastructure that makes the splash pad work. So it was quickly decided that, okay, next year we're not going to put it there. Where are we going to put it? Well, we can't put it on the other side of the fireplace because that's where we had that really small sort of kiddie synthetic rink down. Why don't we put it in the cut-through in the driveway between the two parking bays on either side of the plaza? And forgive me for not having the exact number of years, but for, let's just say, a few years, that's where the tree has been located. And also that is where the organization that puts on the Cadillac tree lighting ceremony and Come Meet Santa and whatnot has relocated their event to, because that's where the holiday tree is and all the lights are, and they've now sort of taken over that space on the day after Thanksgiving. Last year we had received some feedback from downtown business, maybe a couple of them, suggesting that we look at relocating the tree from that area to a different spot because of concern about traffic congestion, getting kind of backed up, and some frustrations with it in that spot because it prevents the vehicular traffic to go from bay to bay. We did look at spots across the street by the pavilion, and we looked at the market area, which maybe down the road could be an option. But from an operational perspective, thought that keeping it within the bay is probably the easiest and the safest in general for us, especially with some of the concerns about lights washing out the Christmas tree. All that being said, Councilmember King was contacted and reached out to, and why don't you share with us maybe some of the feedback? And we brought this tonight because one way or another we have to plunk this thing down tomorrow. So I wanted to make sure that if City Council says, hey guys, you know what, go to a different location, that I don't unintentionally have it plunked down before, because once it's in, we can't move it. So here we are, and Sandy's got that map too. Sandy, why don't you pop that up just for people to orient themselves? Councilmember?
Okay. As Marcus indicated, I was contacted by people. One of the emails we have is from the CLAM, but many of the businesses along there are talking about, especially during the holiday season, which is critical for them for shopping, that blocking that pass-through on a daily basis has really caused some problems and frustrations with customers getting there. Their request has been that we move it to where the ice rink used to be, which then allows us to have the pass-through and the area in front of the common sign. It can be blocked off for the lighting of the trees and the Santa, but then on the daily basis through the whole Christmas season, it can be open so people can get through, rather than blocking that off and causing the problems that they've had. My thought is it does not seem that difficult to do. When we're trying to promote local businesses and people shopping small, I want to make sure that it is as advantageous as possible for all our businesses downtown. And that pass-through gets used to be in both parts of those parking lots, but also to position on either side on Cass and or Harris, or for people to get into the parking across Harris behind the buildings and shops there. So my suggestion would be is that we approve the moving of the tree to what's considered the dance area. And then for the after Thanksgiving tree lighting, we can block off the pass-through so that whole area in front can be used for the public and for Santa. But then on the daily basis going out there through the Christmas season, that is open for people to be able to get through and have easy access to shops.
And then I guess the question would, maybe then would the dance area go in the cut-through during the event? I guess that would be...
Yeah, you just block off that area.
Just block off.
And you'd just be trading. You can see the area in the dance area is a little bit bigger, so you can move it and position it. But to have the pass-through in the area that's towards the lake before the common side is just as big, if not a little bit bigger, than what we had before. And all the publics together going into the park, too.
Well, I know that we've gotten some good feedback from a safety perspective from Ken Payne that I would like us to hear this evening. But I also, when I got this information, I also want to remind ourselves that the plaza area, it was created for events just like this. And this one happens to go over a month's period of time, not an afternoon or a weekend. But it creates a space for celebration and fellowship that runs from the plaza all the way down into the city park, which gets lit up for the holidays also. So I just want to put that in the back of our mind, that's kind of what we envisioned this place to be. And so can we hear from Ken? Would you come and speak? Ken Payne.
Actually, if I can stand here a minute.
The public can't hear you though.
There's no mic.
Yeah.
All right,
You can point.
I'll point.
Yeah.
You can be my assistant.
No.
You need a Vanna.
So yeah. So anyhow, as you can see there, the dance area, our base for the tree is 16,000 pounds, and the loader's 36,000. And there's not a real good way to get into that dance area unless I come across the approach by the fireplace and come in all the way that way across. So my concern is the concrete, the stamped concrete, going that way. And then also the concern has been there's so many people that have come down either road, Cass or Harris. And I was down the other day, and one came down Cass, and it shot right straight across the parking lot. I was right by the archway, and it came right through, didn't look, went right out to Harris, turned to the west, went down the stop sign, and turned on Lake Street. And we have it happen all the time. Of course, my concern is the citizen safety and then obviously our assets. If I'm concerned as if that tree is on that dance area and for some reason we get a wind and it snaps that and it hits the fireplace, I mean, we're going to destroy that. I know there's a lot of what ifs, but if it hits that, then we're going to have problems.
I think, you tell me where I go wrong.
Yeah.
I think for city council, operationally, we can make it happen anywhere.
Right. Absolutely.
Well, I mean, within reason. Like, we can't make it happen across the street because we can't get the crane over because of the power lines and some other issues like that. But in terms of moving it, or not moving it, but putting it wherever we want within that plaza, we know we can't put it on the splash pad because of the weight. There's pros and cons, whether you keep it where it's at, whether you put it in the area where the dance area is. I mean, it would, hypothetically, we would just move it just on the other side of the bollard, I would assume.
Right.
Yeah.
And we might be able to get the bollards out. Some of them have been hit, and we had to put sleeves in them
Okay.
over time. I mean, that's another thing. Those bollards are there, and
Yeah.
cars are hitting those. So we might be able to get in through there. I really only have 2 days to get this done now. So that's the other.
And part of my
Problem.
concern is the businesses have said that they've talked to the city for the past 2 or 3 years about doing this. So I understand we're doing it on the fly. However, that pass-through is open on a daily basis. I mean, it's not a horrible safety concern. And I still think we can have the celebration because we can authorize that when any event's happening for the period of the event, we can block off that pass-through. But then on a daily basis, it doesn't jam it up for those businesses, which I think are their biggest concern.
Yeah, and I guess I don't understand. I mean, I appreciate their feedback, but I don't understand when we're saying we're jamming up their businesses because no parking spaces are blocked because of this.
People get to either side of downtown Mitchell by going through that. If they're at the Clam, they might go through to get to the dance studio or to Brinks or et cetera.
Sure.
Or people at the dance studio or Brinks will go through the pass-through, not only to get to the Clam, but get to the other businesses.
I completely understand that, and I just in my mind's eye, as a citizen, to me, I would just know it's a safety concern. And yes, we have the celebration on that Friday, but that area is utilized by families for, gathering place down by the fireplace. And when things are lit up, kids are going to run. And my concern about opening that up is that takes a lot of traffic that's moving quicker than it would be if it was just staying on one side of the plaza or the other side. And so it's meant to slow down that traffic flow when we've got something special going on down there.
It's open during our summer festivals with people crossing over it all the time. I guess I don't see a difference of that from the beer festival, from the art in the park. People are passing through that.
Correct.
during
But
those.
the difference is like, I've been there with the lights up on the day the tree is lit, but also when the tree, after that, to go down and see the lights. And I've been there with littles. And people at the festivals, at the beer festival, where we're hoping they're always paying attention, the littles are looking at the lights, and they're not looking side to side. I also know I park in one side or the other. I've gone to the Clam and then gone down to another business, to the Elks afterwards, and I do not come down, get in my car, and come try to park closer to the Elks. It's like less than a quarter of a block, wherever you are in the parking lot. So they're not going to try to park there and then come down and park someplace else. And on either side, even without with the pass-through there, if there isn't room closest to where I am going to go, I will find something on the other side and then walk there. And to get around to the other entrance, they don't have to go out on Main Street. They can come around Lake and pull in to the other side if there isn't a spot on one, come to the other. It's just a question of, I think just for all the reasons, the facility, protecting the facility with stamped pads or a roadway, and the children, good heavens.
Is there a possibility that it can be put down in front of the pavilion?
There
Like
is
in
power
this,
Not this size of tree.
No.
Or with
I
that
didn't think
base,
so.
because there's the transmission lines run across, the high power runs across there.
Right, okay.
So if they were able to reach that far out and drop that, the power lines are in the way, and we'd have to come around the other way with the tree itself, if we could even get the crane down there.
Right, okay.
I think to me it seems like it's good to have this conversation. It does seem to be a little late to having this conversation. I don't think that I support really changing this plan at the last minute, especially when Ken is in support of it. But I do think, as we spitball ideas, and like you said, whether it's power lines, whether it's where the tree's going to go on that piece, it might be nice to come up with three options for us for next year that we can actually think about. Because I know certainly when the businesses in town ask us to look into something, we've always put resources into looking into what they're asking us to. So. I wouldn't mind seeing, 2 or 3 other places that you think would look good and be acceptable, just to reimagine it. But I don't think I'm in.
Yeah, and there's actually one right there in that green spot, just to the left of those 2 white cars there.
Yeah.
I had thought about kind of teaming up with Jeff and getting a catch basin type sump to put in there, and then all we do is pop the lid open and then set the tree in that green area right there. So it'd just be off the edge of the parking lot.
Which area, Ken?
Just to the left of those 2 white cars,
Oh,
be west of
okay.
those, in that open area right there. We did push snow there at one time, but the curb was taking a beating there, so we quit. And we left it in the parking lot, so.
I think I've seen utility trailers there during our festivals sometimes. in
But
that
it would
spot.
it would actually be between the sidewalk and that white car, but I can get you stuff too, so.
And why can't we put it there this year?
It's not level right
Oh.
now, and I mean, like I said, we got 2 days to do it.
Wanted to add one last thing along the lines of reimagining, location. Would be not just obviously for the tree, but for the event itself. And finding a spot, along the lake could be a beautiful.
Well, that's why I
setting.
was thinking more towards the
Yeah.
pavilion.
Yeah.
Like this year, we have the drone show over the lake, and so it would kind of tie into a nice big space.
Could be a beautiful setting. Though I think the long-term idea, and Ken had mentioned this to me over the weekend, is to plant a tree that could then mature and become what we used to have for many years, which was a tree that was there year round and then was decorated accordingly for this event. We don't have a tree like that right now that would be suitable. But that's something that we can definitely look at doing, and whether it's right across by the pavilion or off center, it could be maybe down by the library. Who knows? Somewhere in that area, it could be a good area to look at doing something like that. One of the other things we are very cognizant of is trying not to block views of fireworks, and that tends to be where the people would go and watch 4th of July fireworks, other than last year where they did the thing over by Kenwood. But
Yeah.
in any event, I mean, there's always something that we have to
Right.
to
Well,
look
my
at.
immediate reaction to the concern was, well, let's just put it on the dance area. But then when I heard your concerns about safety and, the little kids that are running around, I concurred with the concerns that you had. I think it's a safety issue.
And I think what I'll do is I'll go ahead and make a motion in a minute, and where I would just disagree respectfully with you, Mayor, is it's that way for every festival throughout the year. So I'm always worried when we're saying it's a safety concern and it's fine for 10 months out of the year, but for the 2 months of this holiday season, it's not fine. It says to me either we're doing something wrong for 10 months of the year, or we're making an excuse for this. The other point I'd like to make to Roberts is the businesses have been asking for consideration for over 2 years, and that's why it was sensitive to me, is that it hasn't been addressed in 2 years, and that's why I thought it was worth having this conversation now. So with that, I'll go ahead and make a motion that we move the placement of the Christmas tree to the dance area for this year, and authorize the city for the Santa Claus event, whatever events are going to congregate people there for specific activity, that they would have the right to barrier that for that period of time, but then it would be open for the rest of the season when it's not being used for an event.
I'll second that.
Councilmember Ingalls,
No.
King,
Yes.
Shippers,
No.
Allenboss,
Yes.
Mayor Filkins.
No. Is there another motion?
I think.
Or we're just going to leave it, based on that, we just leave it where it
I
is?
think
The
you,
direction is just,
Staying where
3
it is?
options. For next time. I think, like I said, it seems a little last minute. But it would certainly be worth having the conversation, because even as you try to spitball ideas, like you said, you throw out an idea to Ken, and
Right,
You
and,
know, there's a-
certainly there's lots of places other than on the plaza.
Yeah.
And if we can do something down in the pavilion area that would cause us to be able to put that heavy tree somewhere down there, then we need to plan for that.
Or even the spot that Ken pointed out, I think it'd just be nice to
Yeah.
see. So I think that was the
Yeah,
direction.
Okay,
okay, good to go.
thank you.
All right,
Okay. Appreciate the dialogue and the
Yes, thank
conversation, everybody, so thank you. May I move forward?
absolutely.
Okay. Under adoption of ordinances and resolutions, I believe we just have one this evening, and that is true. This has to deal with the Local Development Finance Authority, or as we fondly call it, the LDFA, and the tax increment financing plan that is in place currently within the Harry Vanderjack Industrial Park. As members of council may or may not recall, a couple of years ago, we extended the plan for a couple of years, hoping that frankly we would have a better idea from the various environmental agencies outside of the city in terms of where they're going to be in terms of us closing eventually this thing down. Well, a couple of years have passed, and frankly, we're still in the same place as we were a couple of years ago. The LDFA, consequently, when they met last month, said, let's put this thing back in place for 3 more years, and that's what the recommendation is tonight. This does not set or establish a special assessment. That is a different process, and that is something that the LDFA board is ultimately going to have to tackle and likely bring back probably by around this time next year, and I'm just guessing on the timing, but that is something that will ultimately come back around. However, right now at this point in time, the tax increment financing area does expire by the end of the calendar year, and setting the public hearing accordingly to make the extension before that happens is something that we're required to do. And so that's what we're asked. We're asking City Council to consider this evening, which would be to set the public hearing for December 18th, 2023, that would extend the plan 3 years out to December 30th of 2026.
Well, then I'd make a motion to adopt the resolution to set a public hearing for December 18th, 2023, to consider amendment to the development and tax increment financing plan for the Harry Vanderjack Industrial Park.
Support.
Councilmember King,
Yes.
Shippers,
Yes.
Ellenboss,
Yes.
Ingalls,
Yes.
Mayor Folkins.
Yes, motion carries. Okay, this evening we do have the minutes from the last historic districts commission meeting that we can peruse as we have time. And at this time, we'll go ahead and open the floor for our second public comment this evening. Everything same as the first.
Hello everybody, my name is Christophe Lavigne. I live in Cadillac. I think it was interesting to see that Santa Claus take a lot of times today for the kids, and it's a very serious matter for the city of Cadillac. I just wanted to do 2 things today. The first one is to thank the city of Cadillac for your support last summer for activities we have from my company. We used the city of Cadillac beautiful lakes and dock, the city dock, as well as the pavilion. It was very well received by our customers and people. But I wanted to mention something that is really important for me and the type of business I do. I think the dock, the city dock, need a lot of care. We fixed it this year. You fixed it this year for this event. And I felt overall the city of Cadillac should pay a very deep attention to that infrastructure. It is not going to sustain many more storms or many more winters the way it is today. I'm afraid if weather change and the weather pattern is changing, well, ice break early and a very big storm from the west could damage the dock significantly. And I don't know the process, I don't know how to do it, but I think we should pay attention to make sure that these Very nice place, is in good shape, safe for the people to use it, and maybe expand it for businesses in Cadillac over time. So my recommendation is, I don't know how to do it, but if the council could pay attention to that nice place, I think it will be good for the city of Cadillac. And again, thank you very much for letting me use it this summer.
Thank you.
Did I write something on that? Thank you.
Okay, seeing no one else, we'll close public comment and we will move to the good of the order if anyone has anything this evening.
Thank you, Mayor, members of the City Council. First of all, I hope everyone has a wonderful Thanksgiving holiday later this week. Quick reminder, city offices are closed Thursday and Friday for the holiday. And then the second thing I'll mention is regarding the infrastructure that Mr. Levine was just referring to. I don't know offhand if it's in our annual capital improvements program, which is a 6-year plan, but regardless, that is something that we review annually, and even though it may feel like we just did this process, we're actually starting to gear up to take a look at it and refresh it as we look at it coming shortly after the new year, back to City Council at that plan, and we'll make sure that there's something in there accordingly.
And the possibility to reprioritize if we need to.
Oh, yeah,
We'll have that
obviously.
discussion.
Yeah.
Okay.
You guys can do that anytime, so.
Right.
I have a question about the ice tree. Is it going up again this year?
Infrastructure, skeleton, the skeleton is there. Yep,
Okay, I can see it.
Pole
Okay.
is lit up.
All right.
yes. Is the pole, are the lights on it already?
I'm assuming it is. The guys
Okay.
It's
ready
on.
to go, so.
Okay.
It's I live by it.
Okay. Does it
water
go
yet,
into
though.
your windows?
No, not yet. Not
Okay,
with the
well,
wind.
good.
I have 3 things. One is, Marcus, if we could, and maybe Mike can help us with it. I can't get my arms around the LDFA and what things we're supposed to be watching. So I thought maybe if we could get an update from you, Marcus, and from Mike. My understanding is there's 3 different segments to it and 3 different parts of the statute. So I just think it's important that we understand it, especially if we have to be considering doing something. So if we could do that, that would be lovely.
January, because you're,
Yeah, that's
Okay.
fine, yeah.
okay.
The second thing I wanted to mention, and I think that for the Planning Commission, Monday, the update's now on the website, is that correct?
Yeah, oh, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so people, zoning for short-term rentals has been a big issue. This is an opportunity for you to look at the first step we're doing with codifying what we have already, and it's for your input. I've already gotten some calls asking questions about should there be some enforcement language in there, should there be other things. This is the perfect meeting to bring that up for the Planning Commission, because the Planning Commission can address it initially. So please stay involved, please take a look at that, please come give feedback. Finally, and this is my own personal opinion, but I think it's important now that we have the election over, that we address it, and I'm not going to address any specific. I think as a council, we cannot endorse candidates during an election. We are leaders of a community. We have our own private opinions as to who or who should not be on. But when we publicly come out and endorse on social media one candidate over another, we hamstring ourselves because we have to work with whoever wins the election. And we have to deal with damaged relationships from that. And I know in the past when I did city attorney work, it was a basic address. The old manager, Pete Stocker, would say, no council person should have signs in their lawn for anybody else, should be making public or social media endorsement, because we're leaders that say we have to work together no matter who is elected. And I just wanted to say that because I feel very strongly, and I feel the past couple of elections that has fallen back. I've never had a sign on my lawn. I've never publicly endorsed anybody. And I think, for me, that's ethically what we have to do as leaders. That's it.
Anybody else?
Any piece? Nothing?
Not a thing.
Okay. Interesting comment, your last one, I'd agree on that 100%. It didn't bother me any, but I can see your point, and it should be straight across the board, the way it used to be. The city dock, I'd, re-
I'm sorry, sorry.
okay, I'm not gonna
Go
yell
ahead.
at you.
No,
You threw me here. Okay, city dock. I'd like to have an engineer look at the one that's there, get some professional opinions of what's going on, rather than just the local people. Somebody, cost to repair, cost to replace, is it worth repairing? Take a long look at that. If we can repair it and it's cheaper, of course you're gonna go that route. If it's not repairable, then we start looking down other avenues. Friday, we'll see you all at the lighting of the tree. I'll be there in the market. My wife, I'm very proud to say, was part of the grant writing process to get the books. She joined the Friends of the Library. And there's books for everybody. There's even books for adults. So show up, get a free book. What a deal. Thank you.
Okay, if there's nothing else, we'll go ahead and adjourn. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Good job.